Okay, here we go. Chapter 7. This is Queen's story. Finally, we're back to Queen's story. The Shadows. We're in the character Nox. It's Chapter 7. Dawn moves across the meadow in a slow golden crawl. Fog drifts low through the grass where dew beads heavy on every blade. A faint breeze passes through, stirring the fog into waves that roll toward a tree line. The air still carries the damp cold of night, and the color of the world shifts with it. Gray to silver, silver to gold. Curious how you take the POV transition. It doesn't bother me. I can jump all over the fucking place. I love Tarantino films. Jumping all over the place, timelines being all fucked up, and that one scene being missing. That's what I thrive on. I love that. Sunlight filters through the trees, glinting, not with people. Wait, what do you mean? But it's a point of view. Oh, do you mean like bird's eye view over, like kind of like you were... Okay. Sunlight filters through the trees, glinting off wet bark, weaving through the branches and catching on every trembling leaf it touches until it reaches the crow resting on a bow stretched far above the field. He sleeps with his head tucked under a wing, feathers dark and dusted faintly with ash gray along the edges, puffed against the cold. The crow lifts his head, black irises flashing wet in the golden light. The branch utters a low creak as the crow shakes, scattering dew like sparks. He spreads his wings wide enough to bend the branch a fraction more, and a faint shimmer of gold slips along his feathers. Tilting his head to the left, the crow's gaze drops to the man lying in the grass. After a moment, he lets out a sharp caw, breaking the silence. Another follows when the man doesn't move, softer this time, almost questioning. Spreading his wings, the air stirs beneath him as he drops from the branch. The grass bends beneath the gust as he lands with a low thump. His claws sink into the soft ground as he walks forward, his eyes locked on the man lying face down. He steps closer, lowers his head, and strikes once at an arm. He waits, and follows with another, harder. Still, the man doesn't move. Crow hops forward, puffs his feathers, pecks the man on the side of the head. The man turns his head towards the crow, his breath stirring dust from the ground. The crow jerks back, wings flaring, and parts the grass. Sunlight spills through the gap and slides across the man's face. A warmth creeps across my face, and a light flickers through my eyelid, pulling me slow from whatever darkness I was drowning in. I groan. The sound barely makes it past my dry, cracked lips. I drag my cheek across the cool, damp grass. Do you mean that transition? It feels like he was in a dream, and it's like he was, like, controlling the crow in his dream, or something like that. Like, watching himself unknowingly in his dream, and then woke him up. You're like, yo, bitch, get up! I'll take that assumption. Okay. It's not correct. Well, as long as it aligns with what you're trying to present, right? But that's just me picking up on certain things. Who knows? Because I'm like, oh, well, crow, it's doing something. It's looking through his eyes. But then again, it looks like he's looking at the... Oh, I don't know. But the transition doesn't feel jarring. It feels purposeful. It does. You get the vibe that the crow is more than a crow. Yeah. My head pounds like someone is hammering the inside of my skull and won't stop. Every beat of my pulse feels like it might split my temples open. A breeze cuts through. dragging a chill across the sweat coating my back, making my whole body shiver and ache as if something reached inside me and rearranged everything. I roll onto my back and my shoulder flares white hot. I grit my teeth against the scream threatening to tear out of me. Fucking goddamn hounds. I open my eyes, blink through the glare, and stare at the bright blue sky. Clouds drift by like smears of ash. A crow cuts across the light, wings stretched wide as it glides towards the trees in the distance. Water burbles somewhere close. Burbles is a word? Burbles. Damn. I can hear. That's a word you can hear. Burbles somewhere close. A breeze stares. Yes, it's a sound. Okay, I didn't know that. I can hear it in my head. That like a babbling brook, right? Yeah. And a breeze stirs the meadow grass. For a heartbeat, I pretend I hadn't been hunted, almost torn open and nearly drowned in the shadows, because he was fighting one of those like hound things, right? And that's like, they're just like natural predators in the world, right? They're not like some supernatural thing. They're just natural. Okay, yeah. So they're just like wolves, basically. But it's like, because it's a magical world, so there's magical animals. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Taking a deep breath, and reality claws its way back in. My ribs pull tight in a sharp twist. Slices down my side like I've been stabbed and left to rot. Close my eyes for a moment to catch up to my own skin. With my heel planted and my elbow digging into the dirt, I swallow the groan in my throat and shove up. My spine pops like knuckles and I drop my head between my shoulders. I sit there, hunched over my knees, breath shaking in and out, waiting for the ringing in my ears to stop. The ringing eases to a low buzz. When I open my eyes as I lift my head, sending a fresh ache crawling up my spine. The meadow stretches wide and golden, dressed in fall. The grass moves in slow waves with the breeze, grazing my forearm. It's flattened in a torn swath, and a drag in the dirt marks where I hit and slid. Dew slicks my fingers, and the air is cool in the shade beneath the taller blades. I glance toward the tree line. Burnished leaves hang heavy from the branches, barely swaying. Some leaves stir loose and catch the wind. A slope not far off leads down towards the creek. Bone-pale stones ring the bank, flashing between the stalks. I could have bled out here, been nothing but another forgotten body in a field. Thought lands harder than I meant to let it. I shift my weight to sit straighter, and pain bites deep in my thigh. Hot and sharp, making my jaw clench. I grit through it and pull at my jacket, working it off my bad shoulder. The fabric stiff with dried blood, clinging to my skin. As I peel it back, stars pulse beneath the crust, flickering dim against my skin. The glamour is gone. Burnout must have dropped it sometime in the night. The lining lets go with a sticky sound, and 4 long, red claw tracks rake down my arm. The bite marks, higher, show as curved crescents under dried blood, and my fingers on the side still tingle. Skin's shiny and swollen, like it's still deciding whether to heal or split back open. I press beside one of the closed claw tracks with 2 fingers. It's hot at the edges, and sends a throb up my neck. The stars that trail beneath the wound flicker again, weak and unsteady. My mind slips. Just for a breath, and I'm back in it. Back in the pit, the hound lunging from my side. I remember the pressure first, claws clamping down. And the sound of cloth tearing, skin splitting, blood hitting the dirt in heavy, hot spurts. I can still feel the twitch when I drove my dagger in its skull and the way it went still. But the shadows didn't. They slid out of the wall like smoke, yellow eyes flaring to life all around me. I blink, and the meadow comes back into my vision. I glance at the lines again and run my fingers over them, sending another wave of stabbing up my neck. Scars look burned. Like what tore into me wasn't just teeth, but something threaded deeper. Why the fuck didn't they heal? I've taken worse and bounced back in minutes. Burnout or not, the shadow always answers when I'm bleeding. It's never hesitated like that, unless something made it. A rustle cuts through the grass behind me. My hand is on my dagger, pulling it free, and I'm on my feet. The buzzing in my head gets replaced by my blood pounding hard enough to rattle my teeth. Every inch of me burns, but I'm ready to tear apart whatever made that sound. The meadow presses in quiet. I scan the stretch again, tracking every twitch of the wind, every swayed stalk and petal. The wildflowers I hadn't noticed before blur in and out of focus as I move. Frost roots spears up around my boots. Narrow leaves rigid and white-edged, like they were born from ice instead of dirt. Ghost flax twitch on long stems, their silver blue petals catching the breeze. Scattering ghost bloom glints near a broken log, each bloom shaped like a curled flame, translucent and shimmering like a heat mirage. Callie would love your use of flowers. I love, like, taking everything into account with it, like trees, plants, animals, everything in the world can be whatever you want it to be. Don't let the simplicity of our world dilute what you could possibly have in yours, right? And it's something that's like rarely done, but I love the idea of flowers, especially having some sort of magical thing. That's why it's like I wanted to do with Stoner Girl Evolution, why I wanted to have plants give you magical powers, but through smoking it. Because that's the satire. And the, like, critique on, like, you know, even if you gain power out of something, is the sacrifice worth it? Especially when it comes to something like drugs and power, right? Like, for instance, like, specifically, like, high-end people using, like, cocaine and stuff like that, right? Like, don't tell me Trump ain't on fucking cocaine. He probably does line after line after fucking line. That's probably why he doesn't sleep. He's probably been doing coke for fucking 60 years. I wouldn't doubt it at all. Yeah, and I don't see this as our world. I see it as a different universe, kind of like ours. Exactly, Queen. And that gives you full creative freedom to do and express whatever you want to in it, right? That's why my book revolves around a fucking giant massive tree made out of crystallized consciousness. Yet it's just inspired by Final Fantasy to have those kinds of tropes, like technology versus magic. And the past coming back to haunt the present. And like dips and pivots in history that, you know, small holes that have been woven with false information. When you find out the truth, it's like, oh! Right? Don't have a time set, lol. Time air. Yeah, I see. That's why I have, like, from the beginning of time up until mine, it's like 500,000 years. It's super early into the planet's lifetime, right? If you think about, like, the length of, like, Earth. But, you know, this planet's lifetime might be, whatever, right? So it's like, it never actually specifies. That's just to give me an idea of grounding, right? Because the year is, like, 598 CE, which is the year 598 Crystal Era. It's been 598 years since the last Beastman War. Well, actually, no, technically it's since the tree. And then there was the Beastman War after the tree, because basically the dragons took all the Beastmen and put them on the dragons, and they flew around the planet for like 150 years while the thing grew. And then from 150 years to like 350 years, for like 200 years, they sieged the tree. And then between like 350 and like 400 years is when everything calmed down and people decided they wanted to leave the tree, and that's when the Adventurers Guild was created. And then around 450, 460 or 70 years is like Duart's Adventures at the beginning of the Adventurers Guild. And then where we are now is like 150 to 200 years after the establishment of the Adventurers Guild. And that's like a basic rundown of the timeline. So everything's pretty established, but it's not like super established, right? Hell yeah. Something moves to my left, near the slope, and I pivot towards it, sending heat flaring through my thigh. I drag in a breath, tilt the blade, and lower my stance, knees bent just enough to spring. I love, like, the injury with every movement. Like, every breath, every movement. It's like a new injury, a new thing, a new, oh my god, how fucked up did I get? Moves again, stirring the grass in front of me. A rabbit bolts through, its coat soft blue-gray, streaked with a faint shimmer of moonlight caught in smoke. Freezes, ears twitching like it hears my heartbeat slamming in my ribs, then takes off between the stalks, kicking up dirt as it vanishes in the brush. Because he got super fucked up, and I wanted to make sure you feel that. He almost died. That crow thought he was fucking dead. Stare after it, jaw flexing. Survived the hounds. Panic over a rabbit. He did. Might as well gut myself and be done with it, I mutter to myself as I shove the dagger back into place, before I drag my hand and smear sweat, dirt, and blood down my face. The wind shifts, carrying the scent of creek stone and moss. Oh! I can smell it! Oh, we don't have that here anymore. Where I used to live in the mountains in BC, there's a creek you could go to with, like, literally waterfalls you could scale and shit. And it has been, like, 4 years since I have, like, heard the sound of, like, a babbling brook or running stream water or something like that. It's kind of fucked here in Alberta. There's a lake, like, or like a pond, sorry, like a 200, 300 foot circular-ish pond. British Columbia, where I used to live. I'm in Alberta now. Oh, my side. The wind shifts, carrying scent of creekstone and moss. I glance once more towards the brush, then turn toward the slope. I live on the east side of Washington. Ah, yeah, so you're like super close, because you would have just been underneath me. Vancouver's like less than an hour away, right? Because it's like 25, 30 minutes to like Bellingham. Nice. I'm not 100% sure, but is it the Fraser? Because does the Fraser go all the way down? I don't know where the Fraser ends. I don't know if it goes directly out to the ocean on Vancouver Island, or if it carries out continuously down into the States. The wind shifts. Oh, we already read that. I see the gleam of sunlight on moving water, and suddenly my mouth feels like sandpaper and ash. Exhaling slowly, pain curls back into my shoulder, down my spine, and crawls down my legs as I start walking. Stepping onto a flat slab at the edge of the edge of the back. Okay. I'm retarded. I'm like, wait, how can I make the bank? Of course. It's always that one word I can never figure out. Cool air off the water hits my face. The water starts clear over pale stones, pulling thin lines of light along the bottom. Behind a jut of rock, a chain of yellow leaves turned in a small whirlpool. They bump, drift apart, then find the circle again. I onto, oh man. I drop, I onto my good knee. Drop. Drop onto my good knee, brace my hand against a rock, and lean forward. The glacier cold water bites the split on my lip and burns down my throat. But I keep drinking until my jaw aches and the rasp eases. I sit back on my heel, wipe my mouth, and work my jacket off. Toss onto the nearby moss-covered log and start pulling at my shirt. It sticks in place. My ribs, my side, wounds I didn't realize I'd gotten. I hiss as I peel it slow, feeling the crust break and lift in snaps. I have had this experience when I crushed my foot, and basically I left the wrapping on it like so long it fused to the scab. So then I picked the scab off, and then it turned into a eschar. And an eschar is basically your body refuses to heal it, so it just leathers the skin. So I thought it was just like a scab, and then I had to have the eschar cut off and my foot stitched up, and that's when I had my first seizure. That was an ordeal. The worst part about it is the actual crushing of my foot. The physical actual crushing of my foot was the least problem of everything that cascaded. Wild ride of events, yeah. And it was all due to the fact of I'm a scab picker. I pick at my scabs. And I told myself I'm not picking at this one. And the fucked up thing about it is this is the one I should have picked at. Because if I'd picked at it, it wouldn't have escarred. Because I would have realized after a certain amount of time that it wasn't healing. Instead of just thinking that it was healing and having like literally a month of it just like starting to grow hairs out of it and stuff. Like, you know, when you have like a scab from like let's say like you have like a road rash down your arm or something, and it's like a month later and there's still like little pieces that are growing like little fibers out of them and stuff like that. Except it was like a thing like this covering my foot. Like basically if this was my foot, it was like right here on my foot. Right in the middle. So I couldn't like move my toes or anything like that. And I couldn't move my like thing up and down, or it would like stretch the skin and pull on it and stuff. So it was basically like I had a broken foot without having a broken foot. Because it looked a lot worse than it was. It was just, you know, a cascade of not taking care of it properly and stuff. And the fact that it was such a large open wound. And when I say this, people freak out, but it's like I can never get the image properly across to someone. So, you know how like duct tape or like really strong tape after a while, if you like pull it off, it has like those strings and strands on it? I would have realized that it wasn't going to heal, Queen. I would have been like, why? And I would have like gone to the doctor and I would have said, why isn't it healing? And they would say, oh shit, we need to stitch that. As opposed to me just waiting and waiting and waiting, and it just never got smaller. It never went away. It just got thicker and hairier and darker and like more fucked up. It literally looked like goddamn beef jerky growing out of my foot. And I was like, okay, what the fuck? And then I went to the doctor because people were like, when they saw my foot, they were like, yeah, you should probably go get that checked out. It's been like 2 months or 3 months. But yeah, you know how like like glue like that in like tape, like really strong tape, like kind of wires when you pull it off, and strings. Now, imagine that, like really, really thin, fine, spider webbed strings. That's what my skin looked like. It wasn't like a wound in the way that it was like an open wound. It was a wound in the way that it was an indent, like in my foot, where the skin had been pressed in, and just like the microfibers of the skin had been split as if they were like stretched on a molecular level. And that's basically what caused it as well, is because it wasn't completely an open wound, but because it kind of festered underneath the eschar, in having to pull it off, that's what completely ripped all the skin off and basically caused the most amount of trauma. But anyways, ads, let's get tokes going. Yeah, it was fucked up. Because when I say like it was spider webbed, people think of like, you know, when you have like a blood infection and the veins are like spider webbing, but it wasn't the veins. It was just the surface of the skin itself was like stretched out, like it looked like I took duct tape and then pulled duct tape off of it. But people would always freak out, like it was a blood infection, and I'm like, no, it was the skin itself, right? Not the veins underneath. So it wasn't like underneath my skin was like blue and black spider webs, like a staph infection or something like that. It was just surface level white skin that was stretched and pulled and fucked up. But good stories. I got lots of good stories. It was too deep that it couldn't connect itself back, but it was trying, so it crusted something over to cover it to keep it safe. Yeah, and that's when I learned what an eschar is, which is basically, yeah, and if you leave it like that underneath, it will, yeah. So if I had left it like that, I could have been like, well, I crushed my foot. It's like, oh man, that sucks, you lost your foot. And I'm like, well, no, not really. Like, crushing my foot didn't really do anything. It was the fact that I'm retarded, the fact that I lost my foot. That would make the story even better. It wasn't the initial thing, it was my neglect. That's how procrastinative and, like, lazy I am that I would literally make my foot fall off. And be like, it's supposed to do that. I've gotten a bad infection, then you get your foot cut off. Yup. Hey, maybe that I could be on workers' comp and I wouldn't have to work. But I mean, like, I like nature. I like hiking. I like walking. I like exercise. I would not trade my... If it was like, okay, we'll give you infinite money for the rest of your life if you cut off your foot, I would be like, I know that technically I could cut off my foot and with infinite money I could buy a prosthetic foot. 100%. But even if, no, Queen, even if I could get a fake foot with that money, and it didn't even dip into it, I would still want my actual real foot. I'm not, like, maybe if I was, like, not in, think about the party tricks, oh, that would be great. No, that would be, like, people who pull off their arms, and you're like, what? I'm thinking like the scene in like Scary Movie when the chick like cuts off, like, you know, in the kitchen and she's like faking. It's like the Final Destination parody one. Adam Sandler. Little Nicky? Mr. Deeds? Wait, you mean Mr. Deeds? Yes! Yes. Yes, exactly. I mean, it would be interesting. That foot scene. Take off. Oh my god. The fire punk. Ah, that's... Oh man. do like a reenactment of crushing my foot. Just like every day, I just do like a different kind of reenactment of faking crushing my foot, like having a car roll over my foot or something like that. Turn it into like a pranks YouTube channel. We do foot pranks. I think that could go hard. That could go pretty hard. Alright. Toke time. 3, 2, 1. Toke! So I got a really good one, Queen. I gotta get this out of my head. So, you have like a construction site. And you have someone, like, smashing in, like stakes into the ground or something. And you have them, like, you know, like their head down and they're just going at it. And like 5 stakes away, you've got like some random, you got me like standing there on my phone, right? And my foot's like right beside the stake. Or it's like you have like a pickaxe and you're like breaking apart the cement. And it's like I'm standing there and the guy's just like breaking apart the cement, and then it's like you see from like across the street or whatever clearly what's gonna happen, right? He's getting closer and closer and closer, and then boom, spikes my foot. I'm like, ah! Freaking out, people are running across the street. Oh man, I can just see it. How did you not notice? How did you not notice? I gotcha. Pull your foot out of the fucking thing. Just pull your boot out. Your foot's not even there. Oh man. All right. Clearing the shirt over my head, the wind brushes my skin, giving me goosebumps, and I toss it next to the jacket. The sleeve hits a cluster of ghost flax, and fine starlight pollen lifts from their petals, turning slow in the air like ash that forgot how to fall. They drift past my face, scatter over the water, and vanish as they touch the surface. That would really freak someone out. Oh, 100%. What up, bitches? Villa to Villa! What's up? How are you? Welcome, welcome. How are you? We are doing? Yes, that is good to hear. Welcome, welcome. We're currently reading Queen's story. But are you a writer? Are you a reader? Are you a purveyor of stories? Do you enjoy creativity and imagination? Are you an explorer of the world of words? Welcome, welcome. I'm Intoxication, and here we do beta reading. Tips and tricks to improve your writing skills, as well as a little bit of art and a little bit of... Well, I think we all are. A little bit of writing myself. I'm autistic. Nice. Stop staring into my soul. I can't help it. I'm usually staring into my own soul by looking at myself in the camera. Or on, like, OBS. So I gotta take the camera and put it directly over my face on OBS, so I'm always looking into the camera. God, he's so handsome. Damn, man. I mean, what? I'm talking about Meeseeks, obviously, right? Obviously, I'm talking about Meeseeks. I'm a artist. I'm guessing you might have wanted to say you are juiced out of your mind. I mean, yes? You could definitely say that. You're talking about Callie. I mean, fair enough, right? You gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, good to see you, Phila. Glad to have you in here. sleeve hits a cluster of ghost flax, and fine starlight pollen lifts from their petals, turning slow in the air like ash and forgot how to like ash that forgot how to fall. Shame I'm at work. That's okay. I stream every day, and we'll still be streaming for at least another 3 hours. At least another 3 hours. We got a lot of stuff we got to get through. So, you know. We're gonna amp that up like Ash from Living Dead. Shop smart! Shop S-smart! Oh my god, I might see Smokey tonight. Yes, Queen, we might see Smokey tonight! I wish I could do the whole speech, but I don't know anything about the gun. This is a whatever, it can be found on aisle whatever. Just ask your local whatever at S-Mart. I lean forward, dip a cupped hand into the water, and drag it up my arm. My fingers tremble as I wipe away the crust and grit from the wounds. Once cleaned, I move on to the cuts dotting around my upper body. Rolling onto my right hip, I straighten out my left leg and work my pants off. 4 lines with the same burn look start high along the outside of my thigh and slant toward my inner knee. Another sit of 4 runs a few inches below, shadowing the first, dried blood matting the hair. Oh, have you ever tried to pull out blood with, like, oh god, I can't imagine waxing. I have pulled dried blood off of my fucking goddamn hairy arms before. That shit is brutal. I sometimes get nosebleeds in the middle of the night. So I'll, like, wake up and there'll be, like, dried blood all over my arm. I'll be like, fuck. And I'll be, like, having, like, scratched it in the night. Hey, I don't have any hair from the eyebrows down, guys. No, arm hair. I actually, surprisingly, have more arm hair than leg hair, because I generally keep my legs shaved. But I tend to ignore my arms. At least until tomorrow. Tomorrow is the makeup werewoman stream, because it's a full moon tomorrow. So we got the maid outfit all ready to go. Seems like leg hair, LMAO. Yeah. It's the only, I have arm hair, but I don't have, like, any other hair. Like, I have a little bit of chest hair, and, like, a little bit of leg hair, but, like, it's mainly, like, my hands and my arms. If you mean the story, yes, leg hair. It's talking about knee in the last sentence. Yeah, so it would be leg hair. But, you never know. Well, I mean, if it's like the back of your knee or something like that, right? Anyways. Well, I'm just fucking with you, Fila. I gotta haze the new people so they get into the vibe, so they know that, like, you know, what they're in for. First pass of water burns and lights up the nerves from my hip to knee, but I keep my hand steady and breathe through it. After the runoff goes from red to clear, flick my wrist to grab my bag from the void. Welcome to the shit show! It's a disaster slasher up in here with Mr. Master. We got your pissin' pastor. Don't worry. It's a jingle disaster! We do what we want, motherfucker! Pisser bastard. Yeah, you know, the one who, like, whips his dick out and just starts taking a piss in the church and says, this is what This is what you're doing to God's creation. You're taking a piss all over it. I swear. I was searching for a world building stream, by the way. Well, we definitely do world building because I could talk forever about my book, or any of my short stories, or any of the universes that I've created. But yeah, if you want to do world building, we do a lot of world building too. World building discussion. We love rants. Yeah. So if you want to propose anything, or you want to know anything, to ask any questions, know anything, we love to do whatever the fuck we want, whenever the fuck we want. I'm writing basically a Final Fantasy inspired story about a tree, basically that's the size, like it like expands outside of the atmosphere of the planet, so it's like 15,000 miles high, right? Like, massive fucking tree grows out of a volcano that's like the size of like the ring of mountains that surround Mount Everest. It's technically the moon's essence, because the moon got pulled out of the sky and its consciousness got released across the world, which unleashed magic, because magic is induced through consciousness and understanding. I like rats. Rats are pretty cool. I don't actually have a rat race in my book, but the main species are octopi. The secondary species are... Did they make you crazy? There are a lot of things that make me crazy. But I think werewolves... I was crazy once. I'm still crazy. People tell me I'm not, but I don't believe them. I know I'm crazy. Because I don't tell everyone the thoughts that are actually in my head. If I told people the thoughts that were actually in my head, yeah, it might not be the best, you know? Here's a good example. Here's a good example.
I got up, I sat down, I fell over. Finn.
Crazy, I was crazy once. They locked me in a rubber room with rats. The rats drove me crazy! Fuck rats! Hey, rats are just squirrels, or squirrels are just rats with fuzzy tails. But we love squirrels, and we hate rats. One of them chose to live underground, the other one chose to live above ground. But for some reason, we hate the ones that live underground, because we're the ones that contaminated the underground. It isn't necessarily that rats are spawned with disease. It's we've created an environment where rats pick up those diseases, because they thrive in environments that we've created from our filth. So it's a byproduct of actually humans, not rats themselves. Rats aren't inherently disease-ridden and bad. It's the environments they tend to be in because of the world that we've created, and the place that we've basically put them, because we've destroyed their habitat. Crazy! I was crazy once. True. I still am crazy. They locked me in a rubber room, I died there, they buried me, and the beetles ate my skin, and that drove me crazy. Damn, even in death you were drove crazy, Sean. That's... yeah, that's harsh, bro. Okay, wait, I got one. Hold on.
Crazy? I was crazy once. Then I got rid of everyone who said I was crazy. I am alone now. It drove me crazy.
That is a fucking epic format. Guys, did we just invent a new format of storytelling? I love it. That was how I was exposed to that joke. Every time someone says they got driven crazy, the start of their comment is the same except for what happens after they got buried. After the runoff goes from red to clear, I flick my wrist to grab my bag from the void. The air splits open with a shudder of black light. Sharp pain runs up my back and locks my spine in an arc. My eyes roll back, and a sound claws out of my throat as my head hits stone. I gasp for air as my chest starts to seize, and waves of scorching heat burst from it, followed by a deep pressure. Close it. I scream at myself, the thought barely forming. My head feels like it's trying to be split open by fire. Close the goddamn seam before you shatter yourself! My hand barely twitches. My arms are starting to lock up along with my legs, and the seam flares wider in answer. The sound it makes is wet and alive, like a mouth with sharp teeth opening. Something pierces my back, making me arch harder, and my jaws clench so hard it might pop. The void is alive beside me, pulsing, each beat tearing deeper through me like a hooked blade. My heartbeat turns ragged, and I can't tell where the searing heat isn't running throughout me. Move! I grit out, or at least I try. No sound really comes out. I try to focus and force the thought down my arm to make my hand obey, to make the magic listen. I flick, and the seam shudders, then snaps shut. My body collapses with it, muscles releasing all at once. Air rushes into my lungs, and I roll away from the creek, gagging and coughing, until bile hits the back of my tongue. The world comes back in pieces. The sound of the creek, the sting of the cold air, the pounding in my skull. I press my forehead to my arm, fingers still half curled in the cool dirt, waiting for the tremors and pounding to pass. Fuck! I whisper into the ground, voice shredded thin. That almost killed me. The world swims as I push up onto my elbows, and pain flares up my shoulder, down my side, and back through my neck. I manage to sit myself up and move back over to the bank of the creek, cupping the water in both hands and throw it over my face. The shock steals whatever breath I have left, but I do it again and again. My reflection stares back from the current, olive tan skin paled, blood from my nose, my eyes ringing and black. My body feels like someone else's skin. Constellations flicker weakly along my neck and chest, barely there. Even they look exhausted. Glancing towards where the void was, a faint shimmer clings to the edges of sight, like the world hasn't decided whether it's sealed for good. You really overdid it this time, I say as I drag a hand through my hair, through the crusted blood, the sweat, the dirt, reaching for the place where my duffel should be. I hit empty air. I swallow, throat dry again, and laugh now. Right, I mutter, clicking my tongue. I get up and walk over to the ruined clothes still on the log. Everything smells like dirt, salt, and smoke. Just looking at them feels like a punishment and makes my skin crawl. But what choice do I have? With a groan, I grab the shirt first, shake out what filth I can, and hiss as the fabric drags against the skin. Push to my feet after I buckle my belt and throw my jacket on. The meadow stretches wide, and I glance toward the tree line, the gold light cutting through the branches. I drag a hand through my hair and push it back from my face, looking like it's back to the old ways. Looks like it's back to the old ways. Can't use the void. That means no clothes, no rations. My stomach growls, breaking the silence. Hunt first, then get the fuck out of here. The quicker I get to the city, the faster I can kill the queen. bitter smile tugs at the corner of my mouth at the thought. I scan the grass, the slope, the shadows between stalks as I start to walk and pull out my dagger. Where the fuck did that rabbit go? Very good start to the chapter so far. Absolutely visceral, absolutely real. And I'm guessing this is going to set it up later for our sympathy for this character, because, of course, the character's going to try and kill Yvain, right? So, but then they're going to, like, be a thing, right? I don't know where that's going to go, but, insane visceral descriptions of the pain, the movement, not forgetting anything, going back to it at the end. Solid. And like the freak out with magic, because he's like so close to the edge that he can't control himself. That makes me question, okay, what are his limits, right? Because again, limits are the most important part of the magic system, or any system, or anything. What cannot be done defines how the story will unfold, because it has to fall within the confines of what cannot be done. And then it has to use either creativity or manipulation to get the outcome sought without actually directly doing whatever it is, right? Oh, man. But yeah, that was definitely a good start. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm remembering everything back now. But magic is kind of super important in that aspect of consequences and limitations. So, without further ado, shall we move on to the reacts?